All right, everybody, we are back. Great to be here with you on this Friday review where we go over the best of the week. So I look forward to bringing you essentially 2 new product reviews. So some weeks there'll be one, there'll also be a book review. I always bring you a couple research-based studies that I think are absolutely crucial that you know about. Today's a big one for being able to identify unfortunately, strokes and different things that other people may be having in your own family, maybe your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe a spouse. These things are important to look for because the faster you get treatment, the better your outcome is. So we've got a lot to go over. I'm always excited about this Friday show. I love being able to bring you the updates for the week first. We just rolled through the 4th of July here in the US. Obviously, big celebration. What we, I guess, call the official start to summer. You know, you get like 2 solid months, at least in the New England area, which I love to call home. And for me, it's all about, spending those 2 months with family, with friends, celebrating the season. And it's not that I'm taking time off and away from everything else. What I'm doing is it's being more present, knowing that summer, at least in New England, is very short. It's a great time to be able to relax, calm the central nervous system, reduce the fight or flight. I'll be talking about that on today's show as well with a brand new device that actually measures that. But honestly, overall, one of my favorite times of the year. I really try to enjoy all the different aspects to season. Like I love the fall, especially the fall in New England. You get to see all the different leaves turning. There's that coolness in the air that I love, the coolness at night, cold in the morning. And then in the wintertime, obviously, you have the holidays. Not so much amazing things between January and March in New England, but I guess if you're a skier, it can be pretty fantastic. And then, of course, there is the nice spring weather and summer that we're in. So, it's just trying to be grateful. It's trying to enjoy another season and being able to be present, and especially if anybody has kids, you know how quickly those years go, and being able to spend some time with them when they're outside of school and be able to do things like hikes and maybe go fishing and fun things like that. So that's where I'm at right now. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And in terms of like my overall nutrition and exercise where I'm at, I am now more than ever back into cardio, back into aerobic-based cardio as well. It doesn't mean that I've forgotten my weightlifting or strength-based training. That's what I consider fun. For me, you don't really have to tell me like, oh, you need to get to the gym and lift weights and exercise in that way, because I've always loved that. I mean, I really have. It came, for me, I tore my Achilles tendon at 17 years old, actually right about 2 months before I ended up getting sick and diagnosed with all these different diseases. But for me, when I couldn't really play sports anymore because I had a torn Achilles tendon, going to the gym was my outlet. And I love that, and I kind of never forgot it. And also, when I was sick for so many years, by going to the gym, it allowed me to transform the outside of my body, even if I couldn't fix the inside. So it's always had a special place for me, the gym. I've always loved it. I created my own home gym now and truly enjoy it. But the aerobic-based cardio is what a lot of us forget about who are more into weightlifting or resistance training than obviously aerobic-based work. Because with aerobic-based work, you're on a bike, you're on an elliptical, you're on a step mill, you're on a free runner, you're running, whatever it might be, and you're just going, and it's monotonous. But the truth is, it can't be replaced by anything else, really. It can't. I mean, it's so difficult to be able to get that aerobic circulation of oxygen through the body, and it has a lot of tremendous health-based benefits. So I'm on that train. I'm keeping that moving forward, whether I enjoy it or not. And honestly, I tell myself it doesn't matter. You're doing it because it's healthy for you. And another thing that I think every summer I've gotten better at it, because there's also the location memory. During the summer, I love being able to have more, let's call them flex-based foods, cheat foods, whatever you want to call them. And they sneak in there a lot more than the rest of the time of the year. So July and August, instead of there being 1 or 2 a week, there might be 2 to 3 a week. It's not going crazy overboard, but I certainly go out more. I'm enjoying friends and family up. There's just no doubt about it. But this year, there's really just less of it so far. And now I think I'm going to keep it that way, right? Because it is a conscious decision, and I've consciously decided I'm simply going to do less of the things that I know are not that great for my body. Like, even if I want to do them via taste buds or whatever it might be, I just know that, especially as I'm really focused on high-performance health and the certification, the teaching that I'm teaching to others, I really want to abide by that. I mean, I really do. Now, I still absolutely have a cheat meal or flex meal, whatever you want to call it, once a week. No doubt about that, and I don't see that ever really changing. Some weeks, yeah, maybe I don't, but for the most part, yeah, every week on average, I have one. And for me, it's what I want to do. It's the ability to make that choice, to say, I don't have to, but I choose to. And since I'm healthy, happy, try to keep myself in shape, then those are things that I choose to do. But again, this year, far less. I just feel that way, really loving also what I'm teaching in high performance health. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out highperformancehealth.org. There's really, in my opinion, nothing like it. It's what brings together all of the advanced anti-aging, healthy biohacking, true longevity-based nutrition, and it puts it into what's going to be 10 or 11 modules that you can follow along with on your own. You can begin to implement. We do monthly workshops where you get online with me, one-on-one questions as part of a group, but you can ask me whatever questions you may have, and it's a lot of fun. So I love being able to change, as I say, 2 to 3 variables every 3 months maximum, and then continue to run my labs, make sure that I'm improving. And I shared this on a show on Thursday. I'll get to the podcast recap in just a bit, but I did something that I was told wasn't possible, and that is creating a rate of aging of just 0.77 equivalent for every 1 year. So what that means is that my body is now aging at just 0.77 years, so 0.7 out of 1 year. So if you look at that over a 10-year time span, I'm getting back 2.3 years of not aging. And that is not supposed to be possible. It's not supposed to be possible for someone that has the ApoE genotype that I have, as well as the MTHFR or COMT gene mutations. The best people have really ever seen, especially with the labs, is 0.95. Typically, it's a 1.1, so you're aging faster because my body, my genetics will produce a lot more inflammation than the average individuals. It is what it is. That's the hand I've been dealt. That's okay. I'm willing to play that hand. There are pros and cons for all of us, right? But for me to see those results and the hard work to pay off is just, for me, I hope that it just provides some level of hope to anybody out there with not necessarily the best genetics either. And what I want to do is just continue to push that envelope. And so I'm going to continue with all the things that I know that have been clinically proven and that I've also seen work in my practice to slow the rate of aging and just improve overall health. The goal is not to, live forever. The goal is to live as long as you can with a healthy, happy life and good quality of life. And that's really what it's all about. So that's what I teach inside of highperformancehealth.org. Feel free to check it out. All right. Up now, we're going to go over the podcast recap. Episode 2705, that was Monday's show, is be careful. You may just get what you're looking for. So I went over the mindset of what you focus on, how that actually attracts more of that in your life. Again, all science-based. Tuesday's show was get into a fasted state faster after meals. How to get into a fasted state faster after meals. Do you have elevated levels of heavy metals and stress? And we go over a case study, also a brand new presentation of the minerals and metals test. Definitely check that out. And why your genetics are not your destiny. And I go in depth, right? I wasn't supposed to overcome my autoimmune issues, my primary Addisons disease, POTS, or a lot of these other things that I had, but I did, right? And now it seems that, fortunately and very gratefully, I was able to overcome these genetics in terms of rate of aging. So I've seen it enough in my own life and in working with, overseeing hundreds of thousands of appointments that it does not seem to be an upper limit on what you can achieve in your life. And I want you to really take that home with you, begin to process that, begin to understand it, and begin to work it in your own life. All right, let's get started with a device that I believe has helped me tremendously in terms of overall health and anti-aging. And that is something called an heart rate variability monitor. Here's exactly how it works. Everyone has a certain amount of beats per minute for their heart rates. And typically, if you're in good cardiovascular fitness, your heart rate during the day is in the 60s or 70s, okay? Now, if you're totally at rest and your heart rate's in the upper 40s or 50s, that's great too. And oftentimes, like endurance runners, et cetera, they can have their heart rate that low. once you start to creep into the 80s, there's a little bit more stress on the body, on the organism, on the system. And 90s or above, just seated, certainly there's a great stress on the body. Well, a heart rate variability, what heart rate variability is, it's actually the milliseconds between seconds of your heartbeat. So let's just say your heart beats 60 seconds per minute. Oh, you get 1 beat per minute, right? If it beats faster than that, then you have more than 1 beat per second. Okay, but in between those beats, there actually is frequency. There is a variability that can be measured. It's actually been known about for quite some time. My mentor, Dr. Pete, inadvertently introduced me to this through the Heart Math Institute. Now, a great organization, but really no way to track your heart rate variability. And it's been difficult. I've worked with 2 other companies in the past. You had to use like electrode stickies to put on your chest. It worked great, but you had to keep reordering stickies. It would fall off if you started to sweat. A new company was just formed about a year ago, and I've been watching them, and I've been using their product, and their app now is as great as their product. So now I said to them, listen, I've been using your product for a while now. I want to recommend it to our IHPs, our coaches, and also to those people in HPH. I'm wearing it right now. If you're watching this on video, you'll be able to see it. It's just a chest strap that goes around under your chest, and it's a monitor, and it's just, again, a flexible chest strap that you can take on and off. It has airplane mode, obviously, so you can turn off the Wi-Fi. But when you're using it, it will show you your heart rate, and it will show your levels of stress dictated by your heart rate variability. Because if your heart rate variability is going up, that means that your body's in more of the rest and relax parasympathetic nervous system where healing can take place. Now, if your heart rate variability drops, what happens is you start to move more into the sympathetic nervous system, or technically you move into the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, and that's why your heart rate variability drops. So I wish I had this back in the day when I was healing from my Addisons disease and myalgic encephalomyelitis, or POTS. And the reason is that this monitor, for the very first time, allows you to find out what your stress triggers are. And it will show you that something happened during the day at the specific time, or you can be watching it and say, whoa, there was a huge drop in heart rate variability. And that enables you to start to work on your breathing, something called resonance breathing. They teach that within the app, that you can essentially double your heart rate variability by using this resonance breathing. That's one of my favorite things to do. I use it upon waking, I use it at lunch, and then I use it before bed. So those are my 3 times to work on heart rate variability training. And actually, I worked with the founder of this company many years ago before they even had this company, Dr. Jay Wiles. I did an interview with him back in the day when I was doing interviews. So I'm going to link that up today at episode 2709, StephenCabral.com/2709. He actually teamed up with one of the foremost breathwork-based, I would say, educators, Patrick McEwen, and together they're a fantastic team. They really do great work. They're helping the mental health-based world as well, and therapists use this with patients and clients. I use it with wellness clients to find their triggers. I found mine specifically, understanding that I would start to hold my breath sometime when working, which lowers your heart rate variability. And I'm happy to tell you, over the last 3 years, on average, I've been able to raise my heart rate variability by about 10 points per year. And that's a lot. Typically, as you get older, your heart rate variability goes down. But if I look at my heart rate variability right now, you can see right here that it's a 55, and heart rate currently is a 66. And the nice thing is, this is just showing you how it changes. So if I were to hold my breath and get tense, it would drop down. And if I were to breathe and breathe out all that stress, it would start to go up. And so you can actually start to see what things improve your heart rate variability, which means it will improve your healing. And over time, the more you can stay in a higher heart rate variability, the more your body begins to heal and gets used to that. That's why I could start to increase that heart rate variability. And for me, my regular average now is in the mid 50s to 60s, which just a few years back with work stress and kid stress and everything stress, it was in the 30s. And back in the day when I was meeting my mentor and I would use just a finger device, which is, not easy to use, it was in the single digits at 7, 8, 9. I specifically remember this. That's how shot and destroyed my nervous system was. It took me a long time. I started doing this again in my late 20s. I was only in the low 20s for heart rate variability in my 20s. That is how, again, like I said, when you have Addison's disease and you can't regulate your immune system and inflammation, body's a mess. So for me, you know, again, grateful. There's people that are born with heart rate variabilities in the hundreds, and again, good for them. I'm very happy for them. I don't know that I ever got that hand, but I'm happy to say, again, we can overcome our genetics. This is a device I highly recommend. Check out Hanu Health. I'll link it up in the show notes at stephencabral.com/2709. Easy, you download the app. It connects to the heart rate device. And also, I want to let you know, and I typically try to do this before I review a product, you can save 20% just by using my last name, Cabral, all capitals, Cabral at Hanu Health. Huge advocate, and again, wanted to pass this information along to you. And obviously, I for sure am a user myself. All right, next up, I want to give a quick product review as well, the one more item today. I reviewed in the past a product called silicone Ziploc bags or silicone bags, right? We all know Ziploc bags, they're plastic. We need to try to get less plastic in the environment. One of my research studies for today, I'll actually just give it to you because it links in. Only 6% of plastic bottles get recycled. And every year, billions of straws end up in the ocean and in the environment. So none of us are perfect. I'm not going to say I'm not either. Like, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I use a straw sometimes, especially when I'm out, right? I'll use plastic bags, especially when I'm out. It happens. But I just do my best. Like, that's all we can ask, right? So I do my best. So the silicone bags are getting better. The problem is you have to wash them. It's difficult to turn them inside out, put them right side back. They're a little thick. There are some new brands that I'm testing out that are thinner, which is great. But what I try to do is just not use them in the first place. We have glass containers that have lids that pop on, and we just wash those now. We just put those in the dishwasher. Super easy to use. I've shared them on my Instagram stories before. But if you absolutely have to use Ziploc bags and you don't want to use the silicone bags, which I can link up today too, there's a company that I just found called BioBags. It's at my favorite health food store, local store, and they're compostable. They're made of a resin, and these things will actually decompose in soil. Now, the unfortunate thing is, unless you're composting them yourself, there are only certain facilities that are compostable with these. Now, I will say, more and more municipalities are coming out with this ability, which is really great. So they're kind of on the cutting edge. You can feel it. It feels almost like the cross between a silicone bag and a plastic Ziploc bag, but it has a real Ziploc top to it, and it's just a little thicker. Really high quality, and again, these are actually biodegradable rather than plastic bags. I just think that we all have to kind of do our best. My wife uses a Stanley every day. I use a Yeti. I'm just more of a Yeti guy, I guess, rather than the Stanley. I don't like the handle on it, so I just like to hold it. Fits great in my cup holder. So I can use this, and I use plastic-less straws or bamboo straws. You can also use a glass straw. You can use a copper straw. You could use a metal straw, whatever works for you. I just don't like drinking out of metal. That's just not my thing, putting that to my mouth. So I prefer the bamboo or the plastic-less straws that are made out of cellulose from vegetable fiber. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, I'll link up everything today. One more really important research study for the day, though. Always like to bring you at least two. This is something called BFAST. It's an acronym, and it stands for balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and terrible headache or nausea. What does that mean? It's very important that you know the signs of a heart attack. Now, that's a little bit easier usually. It's this terrible indigestion or this pain in the neck or down the left side of the shoulder or arm, flushness of the face, and also sometimes a terrible headache as well. Well, a stroke doesn't usually have that same pain associated. However, there could be a headache, there could be nausea. What there is there can be someone feeling a little off balance, or their eyes start to not be able to track properly, or with their face, one side begins to droop, like the nervous system is just let go on that side. Arms, one arm might start to drop below the other, and speech may become slurred. If a parent, a grandparent, coworker, you're out and you see this, I think it's really important to say, hey, are you okay? Or is everything all right? And they say, I don't feel so well. And they start to exhibit 2 or so of these signs. It's worth them going to an emergency room or check in to see if they're having a stroke or had a stroke. So I like to pass on these kind of public service announcements. Really important because you could be someone that helps save a life as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the show. I will be back tomorrow with our Cabral House Calls, answering all of our community's questions. All right, take care, everybody. Show notes today, StephenCabral.com/2709. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.